Yeah, you're not ready for today's story. It is absolutely bonkers. It'll shook you to the ground. So I talked about the jalapeno seed story. I didn't post this story on all of my social media, but if you're watching this video on another platform and if you haven't heard about the jalapeno seed story, you want me to talk about it, let me know in the comments. But today's story, let me tell y'all.
Escucha las palabras de las brujas, los secretos escondidos en la noche.
So there's a guy whose name is, let's just call him Ben, because why not? Ben lived in northern Mozambique. Honestly, I have never heard of this country, nor do I have any information about it. But northern Mozambique is a coastal southern African country with a very humid, stifling climate. So Ben was living with his mom, and this whole thing happened when Ben was a teenager. And his mom was going through a healthy nut phase, which means she only buys those organic, healthy food. It's almost like she was being possessed by an LA influencer who died on her way to the Whole Foods. So every single week, Ben's mom will purchase several coconuts from the local market. And Ben, on the other hand, being that horny teenager, he has to release himself every single day. Probably several times a day. It could be all the stress from schoolwork, extracurricular activities. Like he has a lot of libidos building up inside of him. He has to let it out. So one day, Ben's mom told him, hey, I'm not going to be here for the entire afternoon. You take care of yourself. Okay? So if we know one thing about teenager is if you leave a teenager at home, they're going to do something stupid. So Ben was like, fuck yeah, you're not going to be home for the entire afternoon. Whew. Then he went downstairs. There's a bunch of coconuts laying on the kitchen counter. He's looking at the coconuts. Then he locked eye with one coconut. He takes that coconut, put it on his hand. He's like, wow, you're so beautiful. It's almost like he just caught a legendary Pokemon. He started trolling that coconut. He spent 20 minutes opening a hole on that coconut. Is he gonna eat that coconut? Well, spoiler alert, he didn't eat that coconut. After he busted open a hole on a coconut, he started looking for something else. He opened up the refrigerator door. Well, there's a bar of organic butter just sitting there. Well, I'm assuming it's organic. Just minding its own business. Well, is he gonna cook the coconut with butter? I don't think so. Absolutely not. After everything was ready, Ben just went to town. And that was the first time he was intimate with the coconut, and I quote, it was heaven. That afternoon, he saw Jesus. You know what? No motherfucking judgment if he was being hygienic, but he wasn't. After he finished his business, he just placed that coconut under the bed. No showering for that coconut, no pouring everything out, dumping everything out, none of that shit. He just placed it under the bed. And for the next week, the whole week, he will use that coconut every single day. That coconut played a significant role in Ben's life, as I quote. That coconut was his savior. Because every time he used the coconut, the fluid just accumulates and it creates more density. Yeah, just imagine that. Like I said in the beginning, Mozambique has a very hot climate. And it just so happened Ben and his mom, they were experiencing a very humid, muggy weather. Which means that weather exacerbated fly problem. So the fly was already there. With or without the coconut, it was already there. But with that coconut, it gets even worse. After spending a whole week being intimate with the coconut started attracting flies. Yeah. There were flies just circling above the coconut. Well, I have never smelled something like this, but just use your imagination. Imagine moldy butter mixed with bodily fluid in a coconut that has been opened for a week and it's been fermented under a very hot, muggy weather. What would that smell be like? I don't know. You tell me. Well, normally I would say we do see a lot of flies or insects appearing in the summer. As long as we take the trash out every single day, it'll be fine. No big deal, right? But, well, that's not the case. Even for Ben's mom, she thought it was okay because that's where they lived. They lived in a very humid, muggy area. But out of safety, she still reached out to a Terminator. And the Terminator thought, oh, well, it's normal. That's where we live, and the fly problem will probably die down during the winter, so no big deal. Well, that's what they thought. They didn't know what the fuck was happening in Ben's room. And even Ben thought it was okay. You know what? It smells very bad. I don't like this stench. So Ben's looking at the coconut and he was thinking, you know what? Let me have my last hurrah. I'm gonna be intimate with the coconut one last time before I say goodbye to it.
Tung 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 sahur.
So he did. After he placed the little bit inside of the coconut, he felt that wriggling sensation. It was almost like something was moving. Immediately he pulled a little bit out. Bitch, they were maggots. They were maggots all over little Ben and trying to crawl from the bottom to the top. Wait. No, it was actually the top. They were trying to crawl from the top to the bottom. Yeah. So they were maggots just everywhere. And Ben screamed like he panicked, bitch. Well, this is not even the words. Like, not only he panicked and screamed, but he also threw the whole coconut against the wall and the coconut exploded. Boom! Bitch, I'm talking about eruption, nuclear, like just exploded. And the coconut matters are everywhere on the wall. Let me tell you, if I was Ben's mom, I'll probably disown him. How can you recover from that? I don't know. Like, did he clean it up? I don't know. There was no updates. Ben stopped right there. Ben stopped when he threw the whole coconut on the wall. But I wanted to know who cleaned that shit up. There's no way his mom didn't find out. But anyway, though, I think Ben was being very creative. You gotta give him that. A coconut? Wow.